Welcome to Politics NY's newest video series in the community sponsored by AARP. I'm Robert Posavicki, Executive Editor of AM New York Metro. Today we'll be in the community with City Council member Julie Menin of Manhattan. She represents the 5th District covering the neighborhoods of the Upper East Side's Yorkville, Lenox Hill, Carnegie Hill, Roosevelt Island, Midtown East, Sutton Place, and El Barrio in East Harlem. She's up for re-election in November after first being elected to the City Council in 2021. Councilmember Menin, it's great to have you with us.
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. So let's start with the topic of ageism, which is something that affects all aspects of life in New York City, in the workplace, street redesign, public transportation, even services and how they're promoted and accessed, and also the built environment. What is one ageism issue that has had an impact on your community in particular, and how have you addressed it?
Well, certainly navigability in terms of getting around the district is a real issue for our seniors. And my father is disabled. He lives in our district. He's in a wheelchair. And it's very hard for him to get around, to navigate the streets. And so recently I introduced a bill that would create over 500 solar paneled crosswalks. These are crosswalks light up at night because the majority of pedestrians that are unfortunately killed on New York City streets, and there are over 200 that were killed last year alone, frequently those injuries and deaths are occurring in the evening when there's very poor visibility. So by lighting crosswalks at night, it will make an enormous difference for people, pedestrians crossing the street. So to me, that is a real issue, is just getting around New York City, making sure that people can get around New York City.
Definitely. And I think that leads us into the next topic of the part of the ageism conversation, which is that AARP is updating its data in the livability index, which is found at aarp.org. That measures neighborhoods and communities across the United States for the various services and amenities provided, such as transportation, housing, and health. Councilmember Menin, what are some of the challenges your district is facing, and how will you use your position to make the neighborhoods of your district livable for every resident, regardless of age?
Well, a lack of affordability is probably the top issue that is affecting people right now. And we're feeling it in terms of the comments that we receive in the office. The average rent in Manhattan is now over $5,000 a month, which is simply unaffordable for the vast majority of New Yorkers. So one of the priorities I have for the district is really making sure that we are building more affordable housing, but that we're also preserving the affordable housing stock that we have. We have a number of new projects that are coming down the pipe through the city's land use review process, and I'm going to prioritize affordability in them. I've also allocated over $500,000 of funding for senior co-ops in the district to really make sure that we are preserving the affordable housing stock that we have. So affordability, I would name as a chief concern and something that I'm very focused on.
And speaking of your district as a whole, what would you say is the top issue, along with affordability, I suppose, that you've heard from your constituents over the past year, and what have you done to address it?
Well, public safety is a top of mind for many New Yorkers. We hear about it all the time. I have focused on increasing NYPD foot patrols in the district. I funded 34 new security cameras. Recently, the new data came out showing we have a 20% reduction in crime in the district. So again, I think that's really important to focus on. We're also very focused on reducing hate crimes. We've had a spate of anti-Semitic incidents. Just recently, two temples on the east side were victimized by anti-Semitic graffiti. The 19th precinct just caught the perpetrator, but that we've also tried to focus on that in terms of reducing hate crimes and making sure that the 19th precinct has the resources it needs to be able to crack down on that.
Okay, and is there anyone in the community whom you've worked with over the past year that you want to recognize for their positive impact on the community?
Absolutely. So someone that I've worked very closely with is Sandrea Coleman. She is a NYCHA resident who lives in our district, and she's also on our local community board, Manhattan Community Board 8. And she has done a really terrific job in terms of addressing many of the issues in NYCHA in Homes Isaacs, which are two NYCHA developments in our district. She creates food pantries and food distribution events. She's very active in civic participation for Homes and Isaacs, and she's done a great job. And I also worked with her on an initiative I launched to create free Wi-Fi for residents of NYCHA. It's a project I launched last year where we were able to bring the cost to NYCHA residents to sign up to zero by basically getting the carriers Verizon and Spectrum to offer low-cost plans of under $30 a month and pairing that with a federal benefit called the ACP, which is a $30 a month benefit. And that brought the cost to zero for all NYCHA residents. And we were able to sign up hundreds and hundreds of residents so that they could get free Wi-Fi.
Certainly connectivity and affordability, big issues in the area, and it's good to see that there's being steps being taken to address both. Councilmember Menin, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. Great to be with you.
All right, and that concludes this installment of In the Community With, sponsored by AARP. I'm Robert Pozaricki. Thanks for watching and have a great day.